Hello again, everybody. Well, today we're going to be doing an interesting little journey. We are going to be checking out what I call the Golden Age motels around the foot of Lookout Mountain and out through Lookout Valley, and maybe the last remnants of a place that is in Chattanooga. Apologies in advance for the road noise. We're starting off here really close to the Raccoon Mountain Caverns and Campgrounds. This was one that died off probably in the 70s. This was called the Webb Motel. And it was right here. This is right off of 41. All of these motels that you're going to see are off of 41. That's kind of our mother road before 24 came up and was created. This was the way to go from Chattanooga to Nashville and further south. This is all that's left of the Webb Motel and the little restaurant that was across. Now, if anybody knows, please leave in the comments below what the name of the restaurant was. I'd be curious to know. But this place has been closed as long as I can remember. On to the next. Here's the next one. Ironically, right across the street from the Webb Motel. This was originally called the Crystal Air Sport. It really catered to a lot of the hang gliders because Lookout Mountain has a really good hang gliding area. Plus, the Raccoon Mountain Campgrounds used to have a hang gliding simulator. Now, this one is still open. So one of the things about these old motels is these days, a lot of them are really catering to long-term renters. You really can't make it against all of these big hotel chains these days without doing something different. I'm just glad that there are still as many of them as there are. Now, that's the newer office. And you can see that they are actually busy renovating some of these places. So we're gonna walk around the corner and take a look. Interestingly enough, some of the old paint job is still on the side. That is certainly interesting. Just look at that look on his face. So you've got what's left of the little picnic area and...
yeah, kind of covered up in weeds.
Yep, I would agree with Alex. By the way, say hi to Alex. He is my local Lookout Valley historian. He's going to be helping me on this trip. So, I would say that the pool
It's been filled in.
is officially gone. It's a very pretty planter.
And the sad thing is, I can actually remember paying $2 and I could swim all day up here.
Used to be a fun thing. Pools weren't as many as there are now, so it was nice to find them when you can. Now, the cars that are parked over there, that's part of a completely different business. They'll charge money, and you can ride your ATV up that way, up to the top of Raccoon Mountain. It's actually pretty cool to check out. If you want to, just Google Raccoon Mountain ATV. I can't remember exactly what the place is called, but it's pretty interesting. Now,
Mount Etney.
Mount Etney, yep. Now you can see that they are in the midst of some renovations. So this is really all that's left. Now, there used to be a mural on the other side of this building, so we're going to go check that out. Well, there's a little piece left, but the rest of the building, the old paintings are gone. It looks like they tried to paint the different rooms different colors. Now, I can't show you how good it looks further along because there's a lot of kudzu growing up along the edge, but this is the last little bit. Anyway, let's go on. Now, this isn't a motel. This is just kind of a little bit of a side trip. This is now part of Covenant Transport. It's a big trucking company. But if you look carefully and you recognize some things, this was the Holiday Inn where they filmed part of Starman. Just a neat little tidbit of information. Anyway, on to the next spot. So here we are at the next destination. This is now called Budget Motel. Originally, it was called Frick's. Now, this piece down here at the bottom is newer. The older stuff is up, so let's walk up and take a little bit of a peek up the hill a little bit. So this is the old historical section. Now, here's the thing. The golden age was really like, I don't know, 40s, 50s. Everything started winding down in the 60s, but as you can see,
yeah, it's old, man.
They still
here. I love it though. Man.
They still keep running.
I'm the main man. Housekeeping anything, but I love it. You know, there's nothing back to back, right?
And this is what the second row looks like. You can see it's old school, but it's well kept. You know, another bonus of this particular location, the old Frick's, is look at the view that you got in the morning.
Look at that view.
Other than the giant rock quarry across the street, this is a pretty amazing view. So apologies for the road noise again. Now we're at Lockmiller Hotel, or the Lockmillers, depending on who you find. Now that little concrete base is where the original sign was. Here's what it looked like. Now, there's two sections to it. There's a section that's over there that we'll see here in a minute. But here is the main section. Now, this one is not rented out as a motel anymore. This one is strictly people just renting the spaces and living in it long term. You can see the original old little office down there. And while some of the buildings have the cool old stone facing that was on it, some of these newer buildings, they've had to replace the siding. So anyway, let's go take a look at the other side, and then we're on to the next location. So this is another little bygone era too. This is long-term rental. I'm not going to walk up in here because it's private residences, but now it's all covered in kudzu. This was called either the Mountain Manor or the Mountain Manor Inn. And evidently that building that's down there lower was the restaurant. And you can look across the way in those red and white buildings. That is Lockmiller. So let's continue on, shall we? Here we are at the next stop. This was previously known as the Sky Harbor Courts. And now it is known as the Riverview Inn. This was recently purchased by Rock City, and they have renovated it, and it is a charmer. If you want to see what more details look like, look back through my older video and you'll see what it looks like. I think one of the things that I love the most about what they've done is they have renovated but kept a lot of the original charm in the places. So I'll put a link down below to the old video that I did of this. You will really enjoy it. And here's the other part of Lockmiller's. Now, like I said before, these are now completely separate, and they are little apartments that are rented. But we're gonna go that way and check out the last place, the last location of the Drake Motel. Before we get to the Drake Motel, there was a neat little motel here that was called the Lookout Tourist Lodge. Now the front building has been turned into a family home, and the back property is kind of fading with the age, but we're gonna go take a look here and see what we can see. Here is what's left of the old office. So you would have checked in here, and the old buildings were where you would have stayed. Now, like I said, this is a private residence, but this is at least a look at what the old rooms would have looked like. And because it's a private residence, they're never going to rent it out. So all of these old buildings are going to fade away. But we are going to go on to the old location of the Drake Motel. Well, here we are at our last stop on our golden age of motels trip. Now, it's an empty lot now, but this was the location of the Drake Motel. Everything I've been able to find seems to say that it started in 1954. It was the biggest one on our list. It had about 72 rooms, and it had air conditioning. And it also had a swimming pool. It also had a restaurant and a banquet room. Now, I was told that it was called the Carousel Room. Does anybody know what the name of their banquet room was called? And I'm guessing the restaurant was the Drake restaurant. I'm not sure. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed our little trip through history of what's left of some of the motels around the foot of Lookout Mountain on 41. I'm off to go on some more journeys. So until then, why don't you go on some journeys of your own? We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.